Good morning, thriving warriors. This is Saturday, April 8th, 2023. And the temperature currently is 50 degrees. The high today will be 77. The low is 47. So kind of cool, right? Okay. Here we are at Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help you on your journey to Successlandia. And we do that through a series of tips, maybe pointers, markers, buoys, something on your journey. And it is a journey. It's not a sprint. It's not a marathon. It's a journey. And like all journeys, there are highs, adventure, excitement, achievement, and lows, fear, uncertainty, doubt, boredom, ennui, etc. You got to push through these to get back to those. So we're here to help you do that. We do it through a series of tips, notes, hints, etc. This is the first one, this podcast, but down below in the description are 14, 15, 16, I don't know, some number of other ones, starting with the online link to our 4-week course, A Neuroscience-Oriented Approach to Success. There is the link to the motivational video, which I watch every morning, link to Jordan Peterson video, link to Daily Stoic video, Engh magazine, little tip on how to be more successful at work, David Goggins, Jack Rowland, Barak at Church, Seth Godin's blog, TED Talk. This is week 2, day 6 on our thing. And our TED Talk today is Jill Bolte Taylor, my stroke of insight about how our brain works. Let's see, what else do we have? Aesop's Fable, old version, new version, etc. Tomorrow is Easter. Okay, so we've got some family business going on before Easter. Aha, good morning, Diana. Good morning, Charlene. Again, restaurant. That's an inside joke with Charlene. Okay. Let's see. What's the new one? Okay. No. Heidi ho. Okay, back on track. Let's get started. How do we start? Coffee. Sorry about that, people. Coffee. Pen. Paper to write. Why? Because our goal is to remember what we learn. It's to learn and remember what we learn and then communicate what we learn. But it's hard to remember things. Our brains aren't designed really to do just like a recorder or hard drive. So in order to remember, we have to do things like write it down. Because every time you see it, say it, hear it, you make another copy in your brain. And that's what we need to do. All right, next, our theme for today. Choose. You want to get to Successlandia. Choose your words carefully. Choose your words carefully. You want to get this successful. Choose your words carefully. Don't be a person that apologizes for things they say or says, well, you know what I meant. No, just say what you mean and mean what you say. Make it easy for people to work with you or deal with you. Next. Next, our attitude of gratitude. So please write down in your book, what do you write down? Charlene, what is it you write down? Diana, what do you write down? You write, I'm so happy and grateful now that blank. Well, I'm so happy and grateful. I am so happy and grateful now that I will be again going to Tonopah, to the jail, leaving here probably 8:30. Get there by 10:30. Well, leave here just before 8:30, get there at 10:30. Bring in Bibles, which I have. Bring Bibles in. Got 12 Bibles to bring today, so we'll bring those in. Hopefully have a good day. What are you happy and grateful for? All right, next. TED Talk. Joe Bolte Taylor, Harvard scientist, brain scientist, neurologist. One morning had a stroke and she lived through it, but she was able to observe what was going on and know what was going on in her brain during and then after, and wrote about it and was really able to articulate how differences in the left side and right side of our hemispheres work. Very good TED Talk. She brings the brain out. She goes like this, boom, and shows you that the brain is not a solid thing. It's a thing. It is solid, but there are two separate halves, not cut and then done that. They're like that, and they're only connected at the bottom and through the brain stem, which is where the reticular activating system is. So very, very cool. Next, Seth Godin, Seth's blog, New Decisions Based on Information. More than ever, we're pushed to have certainty, strong opinions, tightly held and loudly proclaimed, razzle-razzle. And then when reality intervenes, it can be stressful. The software stack, business model, career, candidate, policy, or even the social network habits that we had as part of our identity let us down. Okay? Things are not as we always believed they are. It's not easy to say, I was wrong. And so people live in stress, sticking with something that used to work longer than we're comfortable with. Our challenges in shifting perspective keeps us stuck in the past. These are sunk cost decisions we can't unmake, but they don't have to be forever commitments. One way forward is to rename this moment and change the story. Instead of, I was wrong, perhaps it's useful, if less satisfying to others seeking victory, to say, it's time to make a new decision based on new information. I'm going to write that down. Let's write that down. It's time to make a new decision based on new information. That's not weakness. That's not flip-flopping or even embarrassing. That's practical, resilient, one of the key words this week, and generous. Okay, that's really, really important and good, because it associates that sentence. It's time to make a new decision based on new information. Where does the belief come from? So let's go back. Where does the belief come from? Well, belief comes from accepting information that someone we trust has told us or something we've observed ourselves. How do you change a belief? That's the question. How do you change a belief? Most people find it hard to change a belief. Well, you reevaluate the information that you used to create the belief in the first place. That sentence, it's time to make a new decision based on new information. That's how you change a belief. Boom. Okay, thank you, Seth Godin. Now let's go to our Aesop's Fable. The Hares and the Frogs. Hares, as you know, are very timid. The least shadow sends them scurrying in fright to a hiding place. Once they decided to die rather than live in such misery, and that would be kind of tough, right? Every time something happens, you get scared, run away. Mad shot of cortisol. But while they were debating how best to meet death, they thought they heard a noise and in a flash were scampering off to the warren. On the way, they passed a pond where a family of frogs were sitting amongst the reeds on the bank. In an instant, the startled frogs were seeking safety in the mud. So the frogs got scared and they jumped into the water. That's not all of it, though. Look, cried a hare. Things are not so bad after all, for here are creatures who are even afraid of us. The moral of the story. However unfortunate we may think we are, there's always someone worse off than ourselves. Okay, that's the old one. Just going to fix this. Wow. I guess I did this late last night. Okay. However, here's what I say to you. Find the bright side. There's safety in numbers. We just have to stick together. Hares can scamper away, hares can scare frogs, and there's more. It's better to be scared than dead. Okay? So what's happening in that story? The hares became self-aware of how frightened they always were and said, this is a miserable life, let's end it. But and as they're debating how to end it, something comes along, scares them, they run off. As they're running, they pass some frogs, and that scares the frogs, and the frogs jump. And then one guy, could be the first guy, Steve, says, hey, guys, it's not so bad. We scare other things like these frogs. Okay, so look for the bright side. No matter how bad the situation is, there's always a bright side. It's always a learning experience. If you're still here, you're not done yet. Or as Nietzsche said, that which does not kill me makes me stronger. It's a learning experience. Learn from it. Okay, cool. Where are we? 14:19 in. Winding down. Seth Godin prayer. Oh, our prayer. Prayer for the day. Prayer for the day. God of new life, we rejoice in this season of resurrection that comforts us amid all travail. Stir up in us the generosity to share this joy and reassurance with all who struggle in darkness or grief. May we follow the example of the women you met outside the tomb and carry your message of new life to anyone in need. We ask this through Jesus, our resurrected Lord and brother. Amen. Michael, might be Engh, S.J. So it's from a Jesuit. God of life, we rejoice in this season of resurrection. Stir up in us the generosity to share this joy and reassurance that with all who stagger in darkness or grief. All righty. Last couple things as we're winding down. Life is a journey. You need to build a ship. You're the craftsman of the ship to navigate across the difficult and open sea. Imagine that. What kind of a ship would you build? What type of a ship would you build? Sails, rudder, below deck, and the hull. So think about that. And that matches with our physical. The sails are like the physical part. The rudder is the mental part. Below deck is the emotional part. It would be a pretty rough journey if you didn't have a below deck, if you were on like a raft type of thing. So you didn't have warmth, weren't dry, didn't have a kitchen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, the whole of the ship is the most important thing. That is the thing that will take you to safety. You're not going to get there on the sails or the rudder or what's below deck. It's the ship itself. The whole of the ship is what's going to protect you from everything else. That is our protection. So, Diana, if you're still there, Navy SEAL Maxim, Navy SEAL-ish Maxim. Yesterday was the only easy day. So, second to last tidbit, bit of information. You want to get from point A to point B, get on with your journey in life. Act such that yesterday was the only easy day. Push yourself just a little bit more, have a little bit more meaning, a little bit more purpose in your life, service to others, help those less fortunate, the little frogs in life, help them. Lastly, when is the journey over? When does the journey end? When we stop breathing. Right. Journey ends when we stop breathing. So that's to remind you that if you're still alive, God isn't through with you yet. And with that, can we have an and cut? See if Charlene has started work. Charlene is now at work. And cut. Boom, in the can.